the director's note, you write that good movies are born from limitation.
Yeah.
Can you explain, tell me something more about that?
Of course. I mean, I think films, especially horror films, succeed because of their limitations more frequently than, the unlimited resources that you sometimes see with a big budget film. For us, really limiting the film to Indy's point of view is an enormous challenge, but it also allowed us to make the film very slowly over a long period of time, which for just me and my wife, who were living in that house with our dog, was very affordable. We made the film kind of like a hobby. And I think even though that's very challenging, the thing that was challenging was also making the film, it's its best feature, it's its best quality. So I think embracing that we went all in, we're just gonna have him as the point of view character, he's our dog, he works for food and love and attention, it made the film possible.
And the movie is about a dog who lives in a haunted house with his owner. And I saw something else. For me, the movie was about a dog who sees the illness of his owner like a monster. He's scared by that because he can't protect the human being who he loved the most. It's a possible interpretation.
I love your interpretation. I mean, we deliberately wanted to play with that kind of ambiguity. Someone says this in the film, and it is also genuinely true, that dogs are used in medical settings to detect, illnesses and ailments, everything from epilepsy to cancers to certain, blood pressure conditions. What's the difference from a dog's point of view of an invisible necrotic force of something like cancer than a supernatural spirit? The film really is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the thing that's hurting his person is. The film, from Indy's perspective, is a love story about him trying to save this person who he would do anything for. So I love your interpretation. That's very much what we were trying to play with. Yeah, I think there's having a canine protagonist gives you a lot of opportunities for dramatic irony, moments where the audience understands more than the characters, and there can be a satisfaction or a tragedy to that. And in this case, I think it's obviously a bit more tragic or bittersweet that, we understand as humans watching this movie that something more about what's going on with Todd that Indy can't understand. It doesn't matter because Indy still loves Todd unconditionally and is just as loyal and as pure and good at the start of the film as he is at the end. So the film is kind of a love letter, in addition to being a haunted house movie, to dogs.
And the movie has very few lines, and so ambient music and sounds are very important.
Yes.
So how did you work with the composer?
Yeah, so we had a very small but very mighty post-sound team. And somewhat uniquely, we were working with the post-production sound folks who worked on the movie before we had finished filming. Brian Goodhart, who's a co-producer on the film, marshaled the whole sound team. He rebuilt all of the sounds to replace it's a lot of dog conversation that's happening where my wife and I are making silly noises to prompt Indy's, performance. So that's all being rebuilt in post. And then my composer, Sam Bose-Miller, really embraced kind of the aesthetic that we could, capture with Indy, which was very handmade, very minimalistic, and matched a sound with the soundscape, this musical score that feels like, a nightmare for a dog with very limited instruments and very practical instruments, some of which he made by hand.
And what was it like to work with a dog?
Yeah.
An actor who is your dog, and I think it's not a trained dog for film.
No, he's definitely not a trained dog for film. I'm always thrilled when people say his performance is amazing because the reality of what's happening on set is much more silly than that. If you were just to listen to the film with the recorded production audio, what was happening while we were filming, the movie would not be scary at all. It would be a very surreal comedy. To get him to look scared or surprised, my wife and I would be hiding behind the coats or somewhere just off camera, quacking at him like a duck or saying nonsense words to get him to look kind of curious and vexed. It's the sound effects and the music and the shot progression that creates his performance. The most important resource for making this film, beyond the time we needed to capture everything, was patience and just being willing to try things, experiment, and problem solve as we were making the movie.